Just the first one, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order and note the members present. Notice the members of the press and our visitors in the gallery. We'll start off tonight with the land acknowledgement. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpecount First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous people, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community in the province of Ontario. Miigwech. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Approval of the agenda. All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, delegation/presentations. We'd like to welcome Mr. Charlie Tedesco. Oh, we did not. I just rushed right through that. Could I have a mover, please? Thank you very much, Councillor Opato. All in favor? Carried. I don't think you need. Oh, you do need it. You do need it. Sorry.
I don't do well with microphones. Good evening, Council, Mayor, particularly new members of Council, new Mayor. The reason I'm here tonight is Councillor Hatfield's been around for these presentations for a few years now, but I thought I'd explain the background to the Predator Control Project that's been running in the municipality now for 5 years, and how it came to be and where we're at with the results from the year 2022. Next slide, please, Maury. So in 2017, we approached Council about looking at a limited predator control hunt in certain locations in the municipality. The 2 previous winters have been extremely harsh, and we'd had a large influx of not only coyotes into the community, but we actually had wolves. We did have depredation on pets within the community. So we approached the council of the day to see about running a limited hunt for designated members at the golf course and the Tamarack Street snow dump. The next year, we then approached council about changing some of the restrictions at the snow dump. And then in 2020, we also added a 3rd area after it was reviewed by myself and Kevin Sabrin for Wawa Creek behind the township garage. When this was first proposed and approved, we had people coming up to us on the street thinking my wife was driving the truck with Garth Wheatley and I standing in the back shotgunning things in people's backyards. And that was never the intent, nor was what the whole purpose was about. Right off the bat, we limited time to try to minimize any conflict with any other users in the community of these sites. So we are limited from a half an hour before sunrise till 9:30 in the morning. So start of legal hunting time till 9:30 in the morning. We did not put bait on the agenda for any of these sites because we did not want to establish bait sites that could then attract bears the following snow-free period. There are firearm restrictions in place for the Tamarack Street snow dump and also at the Wawa Creek location. This has to do with public safety and dangerous ranges of the firearms that we're using. We wanted to make sure that we had no impacts or any dangerous situations developing. With council, we were also doing public notification. The prior councils would put an ad in the Wawa paper. With the start of every time when we renewed this, our agreement is for a 1-year annual period. So we do it every calendar year. Since then, we're going to talk about signage a little further on in the presentation. If you click on the actual picture. So this is my backyard. So as you know, we do have coyotes in the community. We have not seen wolves predominantly in the community now since the winter of 2016, 2017. Over the period of time for the 5 years that we've run, we've shot 7 coyotes within the community. And in the surrounding area, in about the last 10 or 12 years, we've probably taken close to 13 to 15 wolves. So for 2022, 6 predator control hunts were conducted. There's 19 hours of effort expended. All the hunts occurred at the golf course. And if you remember last year, extremely high snows, lots of snow removal activities, so that did preclude using the Tamarack Street snow dump. Also, Wawa Creek did not freeze. We have to wait till the creek will freeze. That becomes the natural runway for the coyotes coming up and down from Wawa Lake. So because that did not happen, we weren't able to hunt there last year. So we saw 2 coyotes and 2 coyotes were killed, and we did not observe any wolves last year. Next, please. So some of the constraints we ran into last year, severe weather conditions. If you remember, it started snowing and then it didn't stop till sometime in April. With the increased snow removal activities, as I said, it precluded any of our activities at the Tamarack Street dump. For whatever reason, a number of our hunters just didn't participate in the hunt last year. It was really only 3 people that hunted at all. And we're going to talk about this in a few minutes, but we're also limited for how many animals we can take each calendar year by the number of tags that are issued by the MNRF. The one thing we noticed last year was we did have a reduced number of coyotes seen in the community. To our knowledge, there were no depredations on pets. I know that we did have depredation on pets in 2021. In the 5 years we've been doing this, we've only ever had 1 negative interaction with somebody that purposely disrupted a hunt. And we dealt with Councillor Hatfield with that, and we're pretty sure that situation's been taken care of. Overall, anytime people talk to me in the street or any of the other designated hunters, we've never had any other negative comment. Last year, the signage that was originally put up was made with paper, which was laminated, and they were all degraded. So last year, the township bought metal signages, and I put them up a year ago, November. We also purchased our own signage, which is erected every time we do a hunt at any of the 3 locations. So we have 2 of these signs indicating that there's a predator control hunt in progress. One of the issues we're running into is in the past year, we're now having our walk-in access to the golf course being restricted. When I put the signs up a year ago, November, I ran into the golf course manager. I am not a golfer. First time I met the gentleman. He told me at that time when he asked me what I was doing, because I was putting up the municipal signage, he said they didn't mind pedestrian traffic on the golf course, but they didn't want sleds. Traditionally, we cross on the left-hand side of the gate, and then last year we ended up with snow fence and a barrier put across the bottom made of metal grate. We can't get over it. We can't get through it. Before, we used to be able to go through the opening. Next slide, please. On the right-hand side of the gate, this is hard to see, but the fence tilts out and there's a deep ditch in front of it. I was there on Monday and without snowshoes and fell into the ditch. You can't easily walk around that side. Next, please. So what we are asking council is, since the municipality owns the golf course, I've also had snowshoers approach me and ask me why that's happened, and asked if we've put the access restriction up. We have not, but we would like to be able to see that there's unfettered pedestrian access to the golf course coming in off the road down by the sewage lagoons. We are constrained that we have to hunt within the wolf coyote season. So it starts September 1st and ends March 31st. Because of a whole host of reasons, we've limited our hunt with the agreement with the township to November 16th through to March 31st. Each calendar year, each hunter is allowed 2 tags. There are provisions for what are called agents under the Fish and Wildlife Conservation Act to deal with nuisance wildlife on private property. We're also not allowed to party hunt wolves or coyotes, so you have to hunt and tag each animal yourself. Next, please, Maury. We did consult the MNR at the time to determine if we would be considered to be agents, and the response we got was, the pets you're trying to protect are not owned by the municipality, therefore you can't be agents. So we aren't able to get around that restriction. Next, please. Overall, we've had pretty good success as far as the public response to this. At the time when we approached council, we told them that we're never going to eliminate coyotes in the community. But this is one of the only active ways that anybody has tried to do some limits and prevent some of the negative interactions, particularly between pet owners and the coyotes running through the community. As I've already mentioned, we are asking the municipality to have the access barriers for pedestrian traffic at the golf course removed. Next, please. We are not ever going to remove predators from the community. In addition to coyotes being called out, we've also called out lynx on the golf course and on the snow dump. To my knowledge, we've never had a lynx attack on any of the pets in the community, but we are also not able to harvest them because those are restricted to trappers only. All in all, we have not had, other than one incident in 5 years, any negative response to the control efforts. The group that's involved are people that I work with or have hunted with. Safety is the foremost concern that we have. We want to make sure that we do not have any situation that's going to endanger the public while we're conducting these types of hunts. And I just want to thank the municipality for renewing our agreement for another year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tedesco. Does anybody have any questions? Hearing no questions, I wanted to thank you very much for the time that you devote to this project. It's very important, and we'll offer our thanks on behalf of council, and keep up the good work.
Alex to respond back to council on the request.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So we'll move on to item number 5, adoption of minutes. Do we have a motion? Okay. So committee of the whole meeting Tuesday, December 13th. May I have a mover to approve the minutes? Councillor Opato, Councillor Hoffman seconding. All in favor? Carried. Item number 6, business arising out of the previous minutes. Reopening of the canteen. Floor is yours, Alex.
Okay, so I have just a quick memo here regarding the results of an RFP that we released just before Christmas for the canteen. The RFP itself received no applications, no submissions. However, after the RFP period, I was approached by a local member of our business community who was particularly interested in operating the canteen and committed to getting me a proposal essentially this week. So what I'm asking for from council is a little bit more time so we can get a proposal and a legal agreement drafted for the next council meeting on the 24th. This particular individual, though I won't name an individual, is someone in the local business community who has a history of being able to operate this type of franchise. And therefore, I see it as very positive in terms of it wasn't a response to the RFP, but someone in our community is willing to give it a shot. And so I think that we should let them.
Thank you very much, Alex. I'm certainly in favor of your proposed recommendation. Is there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Rapato?
We'll make use of the kitchen at this tournament.
This last set of games this weekend, no. But we have a couple volunteers who are taking over the canteen for this next set of games coming up this weekend.
Okay, thanks.
Any others? Hearing none, if I can summarize, I believe that you have the go-ahead from council to proceed as recommended. I don't believe that we need a resolution, a formal resolution to indicate that. Okay, perfect. So we'll move on with new business number 7.1, CAO memo.
Memo to council that I don't have in front of me, but I believe I was summarizing for council the process to move forward with dissolving the BIA. This is in addition to the information shared at the last council meeting in December. Essentially, if council moves forward and agrees to dissolve the BIA, there is some public notice period, and according to the procedural bylaw of council, we should allow, before the bylaw is passed, an opportunity for up to a minimum of 2 weeks for the public to provide comment. So tonight's agenda, I've placed the bylaw to dissolve the BIA on the regular meeting following this meeting to be read a first time only. So what a reading a bylaw only one time does is introduce it to the floor, give opportunity for notice and public comment. Then the next time, the second reading gives opportunity for council to discuss, debate, and then the third time ultimately approve or not approve. So I believe my memo was essentially setting out that process for council, and that council would agree to proceed in this manner. Thank you.
Correct. Great summary. Is there any questions from council regarding that process? Seeing none, I believe you have the blessing to proceed as described. Thank you very much. We'll move now to item 7.2, 2023 capital budget, and the floor is open for Manuela.
Good evening, everyone. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we had a lengthy presentation the other evening. I think the main things to point out was Mayor Pilon at the last meeting asked if we could somehow color code and just make a description of what's most essential. So in the pink section on the top, or the purple, there's only one item that's highlighted in yellow, and that's the sewer jet vacuum trailer. The reason why it's in yellow is because we can go to a private contractor to accomplish the jobs that this piece of equipment would do. Over time, over actually a fairly short period of time, the equipment would pay for itself, and we would save money in operations. Down on the lower section, or the recommended section, job evaluation is in yellow, not because we don't believe we should do it. We believe we should do it this year, but our intent is to put out an RFP towards the end of this year, October, November, and actually start the project in 2024. So you can see that in 23 it's yellow, but in 24 it changes to green. So it's just a timing. Same thing with the official plan and zoning bylaw. Our intent is not to do it this year, but to do it next year. So it's something that needs to be done. It hasn't been done for several years now. I want to say 2009, but I'm not sure that that's the right date. So we do know we need to address it, and we've scheduled it for 2024. So you'll see it moves from yellow to green in 2024. Orange, the tractor direct trailer, same thing. It's orange this year because of timing. We've been setting money aside. We know the tractor is aging, parts of it are aging, and we've been dealing with it. Alex has been doing a good job with maintenance to keep it hopping along, and our plan is to provide a new tractor for that area in 2026. And then if you look into my notes, it also says that if we determine over that time that that tractor isn't necessary there, like if operations change and we say that's a job that's better done by infrastructure, then that money would either convert to another job within the MMCC that does need to happen, another capital project, or to a piece of equipment that infrastructure would use to achieve that. So either way, it's going to turn to green in 2026, or the goal is for it to turn to green in 2026. The community risk assessment is green this year, and the fire service delivery or the fire service review is yellow, not only because it's scheduled for 2024, but because the community risk assessment is a prerequisite to it. It will feed some information required to do the fire service plan. The fire hall, again, we want to make plans this year with the building condition assessment. Down in the yellow section, we did receive the FCM grant. That's been confirmed, and we're moving forward with the building condition. So part of that's going to include the fire hall and the town hall, and that information will feed how we proceed with those items, and I believe they turn to green as well in 2024-25. The mower, also yellow because we don't believe it needs to be replaced till 25 or 26. Small ticket item, but it does need to be dealt with. The water treatment upgrades. Sorry, I think I've got the wrong the chlorine pump and the water treatment, the water tower are green. There were several recommendations by Landmark. Landmark was a company that we hired. They're a company that's very well renowned for water towers and their inspection of water towers and their reports surrounding them. So they came up with several recommendations. One was critical, that having to do with the chlorinator pump. The chlorinator pump it sets the timing of how the water is treated, and it pumps chlorine into the water for the mission. So that's drinking water. It needs to be safe, and that's definitely green. And then the remaining water tower upgrades are orange going forward. The roll-off truck is green. It's required as part of what's required to operate the new cell at the landfill. So the cell has bins, and the bins get moved from one part of the part where the refuge will be dumped to the part where it will be stored, for lack of better wording. But we need a truck to be able to move those bins. So this roll-off truck is that. A new roll-off truck is considerably more than what we're proposing here. We're looking at gently used trucks that we can get a better deal on that will last us several years. The JD loader is orange this year and will turn to green in 2026 as it ages and approaches its end of life. So, and of course, anything that is orange or slated for later on, if there's some major maintenance work that happens, say the engine goes and we have a good deal on the engine and all the other parts are good, we can always push those dates out depending on the rehabilitation of the asset. So we always keep that in mind. So on the lower, subject to funding, of course, everything is subject to funding, and the yellow and green Wawa Goose Nest and the waterfront, again, it's a matter of timing. They're more scheduled or hoping to get some kind of answer back on applications in 25 or 26. So unless there's any questions or any part that you'd like me to review, I think our recommendation is to move forward with it the way that it is.
Thank you very much, Manuel. I appreciate you implementing the stoplight indication. Are there any questions from council? Councilor Rapato?
roll-off truck. I wasn't involved when the dump started or whatever. But it seems to have quite a bit of money tied up in a vehicle that's not gonna have a lot of mileage on it. Is there other avenues or different bins we could have moved with the equipment we had instead of investing this kind of money in a truck that's gonna go, what, a couple hundred feet?
Dan's,
Just a
yeah,
question.
Dan's not here to answer that, or Rebecca, sorry.
That's why I wasn't asking, but I was just.
I think we did have a little bit of a discussion about it because I always want to make sure that we're getting the best value that we can when we prepare the budgets. And I was satisfied and pleased with the fact that they were going to a used truck rather than a brand new truck. So that was responsible. It was good use of money. They're looking for a used truck that's not at the absolute end of its life and just limping along, but one for the same reasons, just to go that short distance back and forth on a regular basis. We don't want to have a brand new truck that's $500,000. So we're down to 100,000, which is a considerable, as 20% of the cost of a new truck. So to me, that's a pretty fair step forward.
Okay, I guess you looked into it. I was just thinking maybe there'd been a different type of bin or something that we wouldn't roll off truck.
I'll take this opportunity to point out another thing, just to give council some confidence that we do take seriously the saving of the funds and the proper use of the funds. If we look at the landfill expansion, we were quoted earlier this year that we had $2.2 million to spend on the remainder of the expansion this year. So we looked at what we could do differently. Specifically, Dan and Becca looked at what they could do differently and what they could do to reduce that cost. And they turned to the Mini X. So the Mini X could get used for a lot of jobs. Some of them are in Alex's department, some of the jobs are in IS, but more importantly, the Mini X is able to do the majority of the job that the engineer had quoted contractors doing. So now our price tag's gone from $2.2 million to $400,000. So not only have we saved over $1.5 million, but we've obtained a piece of equipment that's going to help us in other places. So we do, as a group and as individuals, take very seriously how we can best achieve the best outcome of the money that we spend and really get a good bang for the dollars that we're spending.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Thank you very much, Manuel.
Thank you.
7.3, reduce impaired driving everywhere.
Too. So this is a program that's been ongoing for many, many, many years, and it is just that, reduce impaired driving everywhere. It's a provincially funded program. 2022-23 and 23-24, we received an allocation of $11,031.84. This is the highest allocation I've seen since I've been here, so I was very happy to see that. And it's just a program that allows our OPP to do extra rides throughout the year, around Christmas, around holidays, maybe a few extra ones in the summertime when we're having maybe the music festival or some kind of event that might encourage people to, do a little more than they normally would. So it's just really there to help to achieve those things and to reduce accidents and other incidents that are related to impaired driving. So our recommendation here is to just move forward with the transfer payment agreement and get this program going.
Wonderful. I was very, very pleased to see this this Ontario transfer agreement. So was thrilled actually. So that's great. Is there any questions?
Yes.
Councillor Hoffman, did you want to put on your microphone?
Own ride people, that's not our guys that do this.
No, it's our guys, and it covers the overtime for our people and or special paid duties. So I'm not, maybe shouldn't bring up this one, but the drag races, I think they did some paid duty at the drag races, or if we have special functions or dances, there might be paid duty officers just to make sure that things don't get out of hand. So it covers that type of thing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Don't go too far.
Nope.
Federation of Canadian Municipalities Building Condition Assessment.
So for the past few years, we've been applying for a grant. It's the total project every year is $62,500, with $50,000 coming from the grant from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities and $12,500 coming from us. So what this does is it helps us develop our asset management plan. It's directed specifically to asset management plans. This year, we've been able to hire a company through PSD, which is the company that's developed our asset management plan, to do building condition assessments, which is going to complement Alex with his arena. It's going to complement our fire chief, Kevin, with the fire hall. It's definitely going to help us out with the town hall and what we can do here. So it's just going to give us some assessment from an engineer around our buildings and what we need to do with them on a go-forward basis. It is also going to feed into our asset management plan. It's going to break some things down into components for us that aren't there now, and just move us forward in general. So our recommendation is to move forward. We did put out for some quotes. There was 2 that were fairly close and the other one was almost double. So the recommendation is to go with Public Sector Digest and the company that's working through them, because I think it was only $1,500 or a couple $1,000 difference. But the savings is in the 2 softwares speak to each other, and it'll quickly be able to update our plan. And there's additional training for our staff in regards to our plan if we go by this route.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Manuela.
Thank
Is
you.
there any questions from council? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 7.5, appointments to committees of council and boards.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And as Council is aware, it has a duty to make new appointments to any board or committee that it so wishes to. So staff advertise these opportunities using all available media, including Jam FM, our website, social media, emails, and advertise the opportunity to sit on the 6 committees listed in the memo, which are the Library Board for 5 public members plus the council member, the Economic Development and Tourism Committee, 6 public members, the Heritage Committee, 7 public members, Cemetery Committee, 5, Age Friendly Committee, 7 public, Marina Committee, 7 public. So attached to the memo is the list of all those who applied to be on the committees and whose names we received by the deadline date of January 4th. So as staff is recommending tonight, and council should be able to see in the attached chart, the names of all the persons who put their names forward. We are making the following recommendations that will be forwarded to tonight's regular meeting. So number 1, the Library Board. There were 5 public applicants, and we are recommending that council accept all 5 public applicants. Sorry. The 5 public applicants, and we're recommending that council approve and accept all those applicants. To the Economic Development and Tourism Committee, there were 6 public members that applied, and we are recommending that all 6 members be accepted by council and appointed to the EDAC committee. For the Heritage Committee, there were 4 public persons who applied, and the bylaw that sets out the Heritage Committee and the rules and procedures in terms of reference state that the committee should have 7 members of the public. So we have 4 people applying for 7 positions. Since 3 or more members of the public are required to make an actual legal committee for quorum purposes, we do recommend that council move forward and appoint and accept the 4 applicants. And then after that, staff meet with the members to determine if further recruitment efforts should be made. For example, should we put out more advertisements? Maybe some of the committee members have friends and people they know who may be interested and didn't have a knowledge of the ad. So we are recommending that council move forward to appoint the Heritage Committee, and we'll follow up with another advertising campaign. If more members come forward, then we would have to come back to council for approving motion to appoint those additional members on. For the Cemetery Committee, 5 members were advertised for. We did receive 4 applicants, so we do recommend that council accept and appoint those members to the Cemetery Committee. There would be room for 1 additional member. The Age Friendly Committee, we had a really great turnout from the community of those who are interested in sitting on the Age Friendly Committee. The bylaw that sets the committee's terms of reference and membership states that it's to be comprised of 7 members, 6 public members, with one of them being council to make 7 full members, and 9 members of the public have applied. This is a great community interest for this committee, which will deal fundamentally with seniors' issues and making sure our community is accessible and friendly to our seniors. And since the Community Development Committee, so for many, many terms of council, there was a committee called the Community Development Committee, or CDC. Since we haven't renewed that committee for this term of council, many of the people who sat and volunteered on a Senior Solution Council, which was a subcommittee of the CDC, those people have stepped forward because they believe in what the committee can do to make things better for seniors in our community. So we have 9 members who have applied from the public. So my recommendation to council is that the age-friendly committee bylaw be amended to increase the membership to 9 members of the public plus 1 council representative for a total composition of 10 members. So my recommendation is we accept and appoint all those members who applied to that committee. On the Marina Committee, 4 members or applicants of the public were received by the deadline date, and the committee may have up to 7 public members. On this particular committee, staff reviewed the Marina Committee and feels that it's prudent to recommend to council tonight that we hold off approving the appointments to this committee. We wish to review that we meet with the applicants, to review the terms of reference, review how we might recruit people to this committee to ensure there's a full complement. And we intend to come back to council at a future meeting, which will be January 24th, 2 weeks from now, with the recommendation on this committee and the people to be approved. Now, since writing this report on Friday, we have been contacted by members of the committee and now have received expressions of interest from other people in the community. So it is likely that we will be back on January 24th with a recommendation to approve and appoint a full complement of members to the committee. Now, we would like a chance to meet with those interested because there has been some preliminary discussion with those members that maybe we should look at the recommending to council what the composition of that committee is. Should it remain at 7 public members? Should it be reduced to 5 public members? So if council would permit staff the additional 2 weeks before we make a recommendation about this committee, we would highly recommend that. In terms of the Algoma Health Unit, as an update for council, we only had 1 application from the region. Again, the appointment for council on the Algoma Health Unit is 1 representative who will represent Wawa, White River, and Dubreuilville. And so Julila Hempel of Dubreuilville, a councillor, put her name forward to sit on the Algoma Health Unit to represent Wawa, White River, and Dubreuilville, has received support from White River and Dubreuilville. So tonight we have placed a motion on the regular meeting for Wawa Council to accept the appointment of Julila Hempel as its representative to the Algoma Health Unit. So at tonight's regular meeting, we have placed the motion to accept and appoint those who put their names forward for boards and committees other than the Marina Committee. And we also have some minor housekeeping changes to bylaws. So you see there's a bylaw to appoint the Heritage Committee. So it is a bylaw similar to what council would have had in past that sets out the terms of reference, the composition, and the fact that all these committees are appointed for the full term of council at council's pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maury. Is there any questions? Thank you very much. There is no outstanding items in item number 8 or 9. Item number 10, the next meeting date is Tuesday, January 24th, 2023. And we will close the meeting at 7:09 p.m. May I have a mover? Councillor Opato? All in favor? Carried. And we'll just give you a minute or two to change everything. We will call this regular council meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. and note the members present. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
Move that Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023 be approved as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 4, delegations and presentations. There are none. Announcements and giving of notice. Item number 6, adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 13th, 2022, as contained on pages 1 to 10 inclusive of the minute book. Minutes of a special meeting of council held on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, as contained on pages 1 to 2 inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Correspondence. There are a number of items listed here. Is there anything that you wanted to bring to our attention, Maury?
Well, there was congratulations to Mayor and Council for their election to the board from the Municipal Property Assessment Commission, and they have extended an invitation at a future date to come and speak to council about how properties are assessed and the role of MPAC. So we'll arrange something in the future. And from the correspondence, the Better Homes Act of the provincial government that is enacting a number of changes to legislation such as the Planning Act. And as an example for council, those changes are hoped by our province to encourage and expedite housing development. So one of the changes would be that when someone makes an application to the municipality for a zoning bylaw or approval of a site plan agreement or any of those planning amendments, we only have certain prescribed times to make decisions as a council on those applications. Or if we don't, the applicant gets a refund. So after, and I'm sorry, I don't have them memorized, but for example, after 60 days, they get a refund of 25% of the fees they paid, and the longer it takes, the more refund they're eligible for. So there's been a lot of changes to acts of the province to help expedite housing development in the province. And as those things trickle down in regulations, we'll bring more information forward to council as it affects the municipality.
Thank you very much. Item number 8, consent agenda. 8.1, approval of the consent agenda.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda, items 8.2 to 8.3, be approved as recommended.
All in favor? Carried. 8.4, Wawa Ice Fishing Derby Municipality Fee Waiver Letter.
It's crossed out and it was addenda to remove that item from tonight's agenda.
Oh,
It was added on an error. My apologies.
my apologies. Staff reports. Item number 9.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality Wawa does hereby approve the following requisitions for Wawa Goose Prints in accordance with policy number PR 001. Miss Kathy Searin would be Goose Print number 347.
All in favor? Carried. Business rising out of previous minutes? Or I guess number B. I'm lost here.
I'm sorry. The consent agenda was approved. And then where is
9.1 receive staff.
Okay, 8.3, sorry. Is that what you said? We're at 8.3? No, we're at 8.3, approve the appointments of council. 8.3?
8.3? Okay. Approve the appointment of public members to various committees of council.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby appoint the members of the public to the various boards, committees, according to the list attached here too.
All in favor? Carried. Now number 9, staff reports. Receive staff reports.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive staff reports, a copy of which attached here too. MB 2023-01, 2023 capital budget, MB 2023-02, reduce impaired driving everywhere program, MB 2023-03, FCM building condition assessment.
All in favor? Carried. No business arising out of previous minutes. Item number 11, new business. 11.1, appoint member, Algoma Public Health.
Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby accept the appointment of Ms. Julila Hemphill, Councillor from the Township of Dubreuilville, as the area council representative to the Algoma Public Health Board.
All in favor? Carried. 11.2, approve 2023 capital budget.
Whereas the treasurer made a presentation at the special council meeting held on Tuesday, December 20th, 2022, now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve the 2023 capital budget in principle, a copy of which is attached here too.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 12, notice of motion. There is none. Item number 13, bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Pato. Resolved that the following bylaw be introduced and read a first time, and that the mayor and clerk sign the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3565-23 to dissolve the Wawa Business Improvement Area.
All in favor? Carried. Item 13.3.
Moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3557-23 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 20th day of December 2022, the 7th day of January 2023, and the 10th day of January 2023. Bylaw number 3558-23 to authorize temporary borrowing from time to time to meet current expenditures during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023. Bylaw number 355923 to authorize the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa to enter into agreement with the Royal Bank of Canada respecting the provision of banking and security for the Municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 356023 to enter into an agreement with the Minister of the Solicitor General, External Relations Public Safety Division for funding assistance under the Reduce Impaired Driving Everywhere RIDE program for the fiscal years 2022-23 and 23-24. Bylaw number 3561-23 to establish and appoint a cemetery committee for the Municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 356223 to enter into an agreement with PSD Citywide for a building condition assessment project. Bylaw number 356323 to establish a heritage committee for the Municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 356423 to establish and appoint a Wawa Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee for the Municipality of Wawa. Bylaw number 356623 to establish a public library and public library board pursuant to the provisions of the Public Libraries Act. Bylaw number 356723 to enter an agreement with the Ontario Trillium Foundation for funding assistance of $130,000 capital grant over 12 months to replace the Wawa Sports Field running and walking track so it remains accessible, safe, and benefits residents of Wawa and surrounding communities. and bylaw number 356823 to amend bylaw number 347522 and appoint the Wawa Age Friendly Committee for the municipality of Wawa.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, closed session. 14.1, moving into closed session.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that this committee proceed in camera at 7:20 p.m. in order to address the following matters pertaining to legal issue, one item, Marina divestiture. It's related to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you, Daniel. Are we ready? Perfect. Item number 16. Next meeting date, Tuesday, January 14th, or January 24th, rather, I'm sorry, 2023. Item number 17, adjournment. 7.1, close of the meeting.
Resolved that Councillor Pato, moved by Councillor Pato, seconded by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the meeting close at 8:07, 8:08, I'm sorry, I can't see.
8:07.
8:07 PM.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Carried. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a good night.